Hello, my beautiful beauties, my wonderful lovelies. A pleasant evening to you. All right, so I'm doing a part two. I'm hoping that I don't have to do part three. In lieu of Minister Julian Robinson's budget debate speech, the rebuttal, his recommendations, etc., after Minister Clark's own that took place on Tuesday, March 7, 2023. And I already spoke to the presentation, in part one, and PBC going on with their, I presume it was technical difficulties. Couldn't be anything else. PBC, my eyes are on you. Hope not. But beautiful people, Julian Robinson made some serious points, that I want us to ponder because I want us to understand the ramifications of these things, that we cannot sit and just watch them continue because the country will spiral out of control and then after a while cannot be contained. The country itself will become a pandemic to its own self. It will become a pandemic to its own self beyond an epidemic because of these social, cultural, and economic issues, deficits, and decadence. Or decadent, right, I should say. So, the part one of the one that bothers me that I have to speak to, I made mention of it already, is on the PATH program. If a basic meal or a low cost meal is $600 per day, which not every middle class person can manage because of their different responsibilities, and $600 is just a basic. So what is it that those who are on the PATH program and getting $580 per week, what is it that they're eating? Because biscuit, and when I say biscuit in the other one, I can, tough crackers is not so bad as a staple. So what is it that they're eating? I would love to know. I remember speaking with somebody in the public sector. And she said she's in management, and I made mention of this already in another video. And when she burst open the lunchroom door, she would see people eating kiss cake and a soda or a sweet drink because they cannot afford lunch. So I guess those workers are on the PATH program because that's the only thing that comes to mind, because that's the only thing that $580 presumably can buy: a kiss cake and some sweet drink. It cannot go up to even a patty, which is still not healthy because it's about 600 calories or more in a patty, the beef patty. I didn't even know that 40,000 of the 113,000 public sector workers did not sign. And, quite a number of essential workers were mentioned: firefighters, lawyers, doctors, nurses, and teachers, and whatnot. They didn't sign. By the way, as it regards the government officials now, not so much in terms of the opposition, because they're on the opposing side. The teachers who are protesting and not teaching because of the salary, and 12 billion will be allocated to them. Is it that a breakdown of how the allocation would be was mentioned to them and they still thought it was unfit and unacceptable as to why they decide not to be teaching in schools? I'm wondering because remember, I had asked that, when I was critiquing Minister Clark's speech, that these 12 billion for this one and 10 for the 11.8 for the police and 6.4 for the doctors. How much for this for the what not? How is it allocated? Because Jamaica, I find, is extremely top heavy. You remember the cartoon Johnny Bravo? Here it's like, generally you find it's when somebody suffers from diabetes, I'm told what you tend to find happening is up here tends to be broad and down here gets small. It's small, like Johnny Bravo, and that is what part and parcel of their imbalance and the issues that they face. So it's almost like our economy is diabetic. The worst type is which one, type 2 or type 1, whichever one is the worst, of the two. So is that the economy is very diabetic and hypertensive too, and has some cholesterol issues. It's really suffering with these lifestyle diseases. called, hopefully it's not corruption, but it is, and call it not having integrity, whatever other, you know, deficits and social decadence. Because for them to be marching and protesting or whatever it is that they're doing, it must mean that whatever, however the money is allocated, it's still not being shared up correctly. It may be like a Heathcliff mentality. Remember, Heathcliff him cut a slice and I think he's taking a small slice and he takes about 95% of it. So how is that 12 billion? Is it that 11 billion or more going to top people and then the rest shared up among the friars? I'm not calling them the friars here. I'm being sarcastic when I say that. I'm not calling anybody friars teachers. I'm literally being sarcastic because it seems as if that is what you're taken for. Friars. Child, little idiot teacher, whatever. And Julian he made a very good point that there's a teacher who, in his constituency, principal, she's going to leave because she's offered a job to teach 1-year-olds in New York and will be earning $7,000 per month. She would be earning 7,000. Yes, she was going to have expenses. Even with taking out her expenses, trust me, she's still earning more than the average Jamaican here. She would be earning. We can calculate what that is. That is close. That is basically $1 million per month. That's basically close to it if it is not exactly $1 million. Jamaican, remember? Or for every $1, I need 150, nearly 150, 155, basically almost 160. Drawing closer and closer, inching closer and closer to 200. Huh? So I'm not saying, I know it's a different economy. Remember, we've been in third place for many, many years, We can't seem to reach second place, much less first. Third world country. Wow. My goodness. People have to wait 2 to 3 hours to get a bus? So when is it that the new buses are coming? 2 to 3 hours? So let me ask a question. I know normally they say, I used to hear people tell, why they don't leave out early. So if they're waiting 2 to 3 hours, and I'm sure some of these people have left their homes early enough, maybe half an hour early, 45 minutes to an hour. I know of people like that. And they leave early and still have to wait 2 to 3 hours. So what do you want them to do? Leave out in the dark? Maybe 3 o'clock in the morning? So what sleep do they get? What rest and meditation do they get? What about their mental health and wellness? I tell you, we major in minor a lot over the many years and minor in the major. And that is why across the board productivity is so low. Across the board. I didn't know that private sector workers were crying too. Well, I shouldn't say that. I know they were crying too. Public sector workers are bawling because they cannot survive. Nevertheless, the monies are poor, the monies are low. And with all of the different $1 trillion, my God. And when I looked at my February salary, not only me, when I say I'm just personalizing it, my colleagues, we said to ourselves, this cannot be real. We still have not been properly paid yet, in February. We're still looking back for some monies that seem to have been missing, And as Julian Robinson said, people are being pressured, to declare their statutory deductions and whatnot. Huh? Oh my goodness gracious me. He was saying that why, about $1 billion provision of the 1 trillion wasn't made for local government election. That's a salient point. How does the budget cater to all? Because cost of living is shooting up, inflation going up 10 point odd. Next thing you go here, 11, 12, and it's just climbing. While the salary, see the salary here? Oh, that's the salary. That's the salary across the board. And people are still working below the legal minimum wage. Jesus of his mercy, God. Jesus. Come down because we need you. You cannot, as Mr. Robinson said, you cannot treat public sector workers with disrespect or bully them into, he didn't say conformity in terms of to sign this or to sign that. My goodness. I'm looking at, we have low wage, low tech, low growth. So what is happening is that, as Barack Obama said, the disparity between the rich and the poor is so vast, and crime and violence at an all high. Guys, follow me on TikTok, subscribe to my YouTube channel, please, and certainly share this.